Well, more now on our top story. Egypt, at least 40 Coptic churches have been attacked since violence started last Wednesday. Christian businesses and homes have also been targeted. This is the Amir Tadros Coptic church in Minya, south of Cairo. It was set on fire on the 14th of August, apparently in response to police dispersing protesters in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Some Christians have blamed supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood for the attacks.
The current situation has shown an increasingly severe attack on all churches, on Christians and state institutions. I really don't understand what the Muslim Brotherhood are doing. We would have sincerely wished to communicate with them to build this nation and reconcile to find a peaceful solution, but it's all been in vain.
We really suffered in the period that they were protesting in Rabat. I was constantly verbally abused for being a Christian. Even on the public buses they would insult me and accused us of being infidels, and that we as Christians deserve to be wiped off the face of this country because they believe that we do not deserve to live in this country.
Oh, there are plenty of comments on Twitter about the attacks on Coptic Christians in Egypt. A tweet from the Big Pharaoh says that a priest at the Virgin Mary Monastery in Minya said that Sunday's Mass was cancelled at the monastery for the first time in 1600 years. And Boutros Al-Mazri, with the Twitter handle Copts Unite, asks who is paying for the bloodshed? Neither the police nor Ikhwan, which means brothers in Arabic, but we Egyptian people pay the price, Copt and Muslim. Bishop Angaelos is the UK representative for the Egyptian Coptic Church. He is live for us from London. Sir, welcome to the program. Bishop, at least 40 churches have been attacked since Wednesday. Have you any evidence about who is attacking your churches?
Well, the number is actually past 50 now from reports to sources just this morning. It's really not up to us to determine who. This is up to the investigative process. But when you look at so many attacks in the space of 48 hours, they do look orchestrated. And when you look at the way it's happened and the synchronization and coming on the tail of certain events, along with rhetoric and incitement, attacking Christians, as you just heard in your piece there, then there really is definitely some sort of connection to what's been going on.
Now, Pope Tadros II has taken a strong stand in support of the military, the police and the interim government. A statement was issued saying that the Egyptian Coptic Orthodox Church assures that it stands strongly beside the police and the armed forces and the Egyptian people's institutions against the groups of armed violence and the black terrorism coming from inside and outside the country. Do you agree with this stand? You don't mention anything of this sort in your latest statement.
Oh no, I absolutely do. We stand with the process and with the nation of Egypt, with all of its processes, all of its representatives, all of its institutions. We don't want to be drawn into a fight between parties, because that's not what we're there for. But we are there and we're representing and supporting a formative stage in Egypt that is moving ahead. And unless we see otherwise, then we're looking at the vehicles of process that are moving Egypt forward.
But the statement says it stands strongly beside the police and the armed forces. By making such a statement, it comes across as condoning, saying it's okay that this bloody crackdown is underway in Egypt.
No, not at all. I think we must be very careful how we take things. It is not condoning violence. We grieve, like every other Egyptian, for every loss of life. Life for us is very precious, and it's very sanctified. And of course, we look at these people who are dying as members of grieving families and grieving communities, and Egypt is losing out. And until people stop branding and generalizing and stereotyping, Egypt will continue to go through this. I think rather than looking at parties and who is supporting who at the moment, we really need to get to a reconciliation. We need to bring people together to speak, and parties need to be willing to work towards a more positive direction within the community.
Sir, some Christians have blamed supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood for these attacks on churches in Egypt. Has anyone in your congregation, anyone you've spoken to, identified who might be behind these attacks?
Well, I think your own cameras have picked up during the demonstration in Rabat and over the past weeks a very clear threat made by leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood towards Christians, towards Egyptians who don't necessarily see eye to eye. So whether it is members of the Brotherhood or people who are impassioned by these calls for violence, or people who are guided by this strand of terrorism, because terrorism really is to coerce, to try to coerce by violent means, particularly for political gain. And so if it's someone who is directly related or who has been inspired by this, there is a sense of responsibility for those who speak.
Bishop, thank you very much for speaking to us. Bishop Angaelos is the UK-based representative for the Egyptian Coptic Church.